Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hijab Akbar Kwali and I am a student of Rehan School Karangi campus. So today we have the very honorable and grateful guest whose name is Sir Mikhail Ballard. So let's go and about himself and about him life journey and know the him life story. So hello sir, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's very nice to meet you today, and it's an honor to be on your program.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. So sir, first of all, please introduce yourself to our viewers.
So, I'm Michael Ballard from Resiliency for Life, and I specialize in coaching, training, consulting themed on resiliency. And resiliency is a set of skills, beliefs, and values and processes to help us have safer, better experiences and often higher quality outcomes. So it's a supplement to the current mental health system. It helps us with grades and graduation rates. It has an impact on our physical, mental health, and it helps us with our relationships, our friendships, and is good at building community. So I've been doing it for over 25 years now. And the screen is frozen, I think, so I'm going to continue. One of the key skills to practice to be resilient is to practice a skill called disidentification. And disidentification is this, that when something's big and it's overwhelming, normal to feel overwhelmed on occasion when something big happens, it owns us for a brief moment, whether that's an hour, a minute, a day, a week, a month, whatever. It owns us. And that's not a failure of you. That's just how we're wired. But then disidentification said, wait a minute. I'm going to own my issue. What can I do with faith, with a loving relative, with a good teacher, with a good friend who can help me learn a skill, a process, something to deal with the issue? So disidentification. The issue owns you. You, to misquote a famous singer, shake it off, and you own the problem. Takes practice, takes patience, takes skills, but it's very doable. When I had cancer, the first few hours, it owned me. Oh no, I have surgery. I'm in a hospital with a surgeon after 8 years of medical school in North America, went to Europe to learn advanced surgical techniques. What a blessing to have him on my medical team for healing. Then Dr. George was surgically working on me to take out of the cancer and put me back together. And the anesthetists, the nursing people, it was remarkable. So that's important to remember. Does the problem own you, or do you own the problem? Disidentification takes time and patience, but it can work. So fighting cancer, I'm a realistic optimist. I knew that cancer could physically kill me because 5 days after surgery, the test came back, oh, I had cancer in 4 spots, not 1 spot. Uh-oh. So cancer, I'm going to fight back. You might physically kill me, but you're not going to intellectually, emotionally, socially, or spiritually take me. I might physically die, but look out, I'm coming for you. So disidentification. It's not about being delusional. We have big issues sometimes in our lives. It could be our health. It could be relationship. It could be many things. But disidentification said, I own the issue and I will do my best to manage what I can manage, fix or change and resolve what I can change. And sometimes the third part, give away the rest. Okay, I need help. I'm managing what I can manage. I've fixed what I can fix or heal what I can fix. I need help. So disidentification, disengagement, really powerful.
Okay, sir, that's amazing, and thank you for your answer. So,
You're
my
welcome.
first question from you: what inspired you to specialize in coaching, consulting, and training in resilience?
Oh, excellent question. a long time ago, one of the things that got me to realize that I should do this is my physical education teacher taught me a skill using different language than the same thing my dad had taught me. And that's called pre-framing. So before I came on today, I pre-framed this interview and said, I'm very sure she's polite. I'm very sure she's smart, articulate, and respectful. I will have a very wonderful interview with this person. Because age, race, gender are all interesting points, but we can still have lots of respect together. So that's pre-framing it rationally and emotionally. My physical education teacher, Mr. Sargentson, he said, Michael, plan in advance. I was having a hard time catching the ball in physical education for exercise. They wanted us to outrun and throw, and, you know, you're growing a body. It's good to exercise. Keeps the brain sharp too. I was a bad catcher. So he said, before they throw the ball, imagine they're getting their arm back and they're throwing the ball. Now, it was a North American football, so it's pointy on both ends. And it's spiraling. It goes up, up, up. Then it comes down, down, down. As it hits the peak of the arch, it starts coming down. Imagine you've got your hands out. Put your hands out. Practice seeing you with your eyes and your hands out. And here comes the ball. Put your arms way out. Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in. Boom, you got. I went from catching 1 out of 10 to 5 or 6 out of 10 within 20 or 30 practices. And then within a couple of weeks, I was catching 7 or 8 out of every 10. Wow. So pre-framing is mentally practicing in advance, rationally, emotionally, physically, maybe socially. What are the steps? When my dad taught me to ride a bicycle, he pre-framed it. Michael, you used to ride a tricycle. You know how to steer. You know how to pedal for speed, for movement. You know how to brake by pedaling backwards. No handbrakes in the old days of my tricycle days. So you know how to steer. You know how to stop. You know how to momentum. You know how to stop, look, and listen when you stop, so safety. Now you're going to learn with bicycling, balancing, because you do all the other ones. So pre-framing is what are the steps in advance? And then you go do them. So that's another thing. So I realized that almost nobody was taught this. They weren't told how to pre-frame. And so when I was having my health issues in the hospital with my chronic illness and then my 7-year battle with cancer, there was nobody there to teach us how to pre-frame. And it was sad. And the doctors were like, and the nurses, you do really well with your pain management. I said, well, I have a 16-inch incision and I had a 6-hour surgery, so I expected it was going to hurt. Whoa, ouch. However, I am here not just to fight cancer, but to get healthier and have more energy as I heal. So I am pre-framing that the pain is part of the healing process. And maybe I don't need as much pain meds as I used to because I'm practicing my breathing exercises. I'm doing my slow meditative walking. I'm practicing my prayer walk. I'm practicing all these things for a calm mind and a body in motion for healing. And so I ended up having half as much pain medicine as a typical patient for my surgery within 3 days, with the doctor going, are you sure? I said, well, yeah, it's very uncomfortable. And yes, it hurts, but I'm healing. Of course it was going to hurt. It wasn't a Band-Aid you put on. This was a 6-hour surgery where you went in. And I lost 30 odd pounds because lots of cancer. So I'm healing. Don't know what to expect about whether I'm going to make it a year or 20 years or now 30 years, but I'm healing. So pre-framing is a powerful mindset. If you go into your exam saying, I'm going to fail, I'm stupid, I'm going to fail, I'm stupid, your brain will help create the circumstances so you're stupid and you fail. So I believe I have studied enough. I believe I've prepared enough, and you should have prepared enough. You have a better chance of your brains and the answers coming out on that test. So pre-framing is a powerful skill to use in all aspects of our life. So that's when I decided to be a coach and a consultant and study resiliency skills and resiliency processes because it's not taught enough in enough places. And when it is taught, it's often very expensive. If you're the CEO of a big company, there was a school in the 80s in Florida for adults where you could go for $50,000 to learn this. Well, that's very nice for CEOs to go, but why can't we teach 5-year-olds and 12-year-olds and 92-year-olds? I got to work in a nursing home a couple of times, working with people aging and having aging issues. So we taught them pre-framing and framing and reframing, and we taught them breathing skills for more mental clarity and more acceptance of aging. It's not fun to get old, but if you make it to 90, good for you. Here's some skills to make the journey just a little bit easier. So that's why I decided to do it, because we need to spread the word, spread the message of pre-framing, framing, and reframing. Another skill, we've talked about over-identification and disidentification. Does the issue own you or you own the issue? Well, then there's calming skills. And one of the most important skills that we all need is calmness. Because when we get confronted with issues that can frighten us or excite us, we have to be careful we don't react. We should always be calm enough and focused enough to reflect and then respond. I can't speak for your country, but in my country, we have a couple of political people who are really good at getting people to react. Well, that's great to manipulate people, but that's not in their best interest. So practicing calming skills, and there's many of them, is a powerful way. So I want to teach you one of my favorites that's very simple, and that's triangle breathing. Imagine there's a triangle, an invisible triangle in front of my face at the top of my head. And 4 seconds. So 1, breathe in. Across the bottom, hold for 4. And exhale on 4, 3, 2, 1. And that should help calm you down, because again, reflecting and responding keeps us safer. It's harder to manipulate us. It's harder to cheat us if we're in a calm state of mind. But I see way too many people who are so wound up from COVID and other personal issues that as soon as they hear something, they react. And that's exactly what the person that's doing it is doing it to manipulate them to get personal gain for themselves, a party, an event, a cause. So be careful. Calmness makes us mentally, emotionally, physically stronger. So 4 in, 4 for hold seconds, 4 on the exhale. Now that's to calm you. Has anybody ever been tired studying for an exam, or maybe you went to school, then you had 3 hours of housework, homework? I grew up in farm country, so kids came to school after been up doing chores for 3 hours already, and they went to school, they went home, had an early supper, then they went and did another 3 or 4 hours of chores and then homework. So maybe you need to get your energy up. So triangle breathing again, but this time in on 3. Hold for 3. Out for 3. That should help you get a little bit of an elevated feeling in your head. And if you really want to raise your energy, in on 2. No holding, out on 2. Never when you're operating a motorized or personal vehicle, like a bicycle or a motorcycle. Never. This is only when you're seated or standing by a wall, because I don't want you to hyperventilate and fall over. So those are a couple of skills to manage your energy, vital skills. And I think we're still having net problems. So I'm sorry, host. I'm just going to keep going. So resiliency, skills, process, beliefs, and values to help us be more resilient. And our host is back and the internet's working again. What's our next question?
Okay, sir. Thank you for your answer, but here is some net issue, so sorry for the late reply.
That's okay.
So my next question from you. How do you define resilience in the context of your work?
Excellent question. Very good question. corporations, associations, communities, schools, healthcare groups, they hire me to help staff, patients, teachers, students, community volunteers, leaders, I work with just about everybody, learn to share and behave and use more resilient language. So if I make a mistake and somebody hears me in a resilient community of workers say, oh, that was really stupid of me, they might say something like, instead of the traditional, yep, they might say, well, you gave it a shot. You tried. Good for you. What will you do to be more successful so that it works next time? So it's about building a resilient, supportive language, beliefs, and values individually and collectively to help people have higher levels of physical, emotional safety, intellectual safety, and more successful, less expensive outcomes. Because in corporate or personal, if we are not, or in education or health, if we're not resilient, it's more expensive. An example is a leading university for over 50 years has proven that people like me with chronic illness that practice resiliency skills, it's 30+% less expensive to help them manage their chronic health if they practice the resiliency skills. So, example, I'm diabetic. If your mother and your grandmother have diabetes, you got an 80% chance. But if your mother, your aunties, your grandma, and your great aunties had diabetes, it's over 86% chance. Well, that's me. So at 30 years old, I reduced my sugar way down. No more donuts every week. No more donuts every month. Donuts 1 or 2 a year because I really like them. I don't need any. So I have 1 or 2 a year as a big treat. That's it. So being resilient in the workplace, at school, in healthcare, and the family, and the community, it's all about building an integrated approach to how we think. Life will have things happen, big and small, large and scary, exciting and modest. But how we respond after we reflect versus how we react has a major difference on the quality of our experiences, our safety, and our outcomes. So that's what I love doing and why it's important for people to practice it and know it. And I really like it living and working in Toronto and all over the world, is that my friends of different faiths say, wow, this aligns with my faith. And I said, that's why I love resiliency. Doesn't matter about race, faith, culture. It works. So that's why I'm so excited about it.
Okay, so thank you for your answer. So my next question from you. Okay, so we have to end in 3 minutes. Okay. So my last question from you. How do you tailor your approach to coaching, consulting, or training to meet the specific needs of your clients?
That's a very important question. Thank you. I ask my clients, I talk to, say that's a group of 250 people, like a factory I worked with a while ago. I asked to talk to frontline staff, boards of director, team leaders, supervisors, managers, and I have them identify the top 7 things that are hurting and the top 5 to 7 things that are very successful. So in the one company, they had a 27% absentee rate because there was an act of violence in the workplace. Luckily, nobody got physically injured, but they got emotionally injured. So once I knew what the issues were and which department it impacted and what type of language was being used, then when I did workshops with the group, I sounded more like an insider, not an outsider. So I talked to them and with them, not down to them. I was there as their coach and friend and expert to help lift them up, help them heal, and move forward. I'm not a therapist. I'm a tour guide. I introduce them to what is resiliency, how do you be more resilient, why is it important, and in that case, we had the spouses and adult children and youth involved because it's not just a workplace issue. If you have a school, a work, a health issue, personally or professionally, what's going on at home is just as important as what's going on where you go to school or where you go to work. So that's what I do, is I do all I can to be one with them as opposed to an outsider. Thank you. I'm having a sip of coffee now.
So sir, lastly, would you like to? Okay, would you like to give the advice with our audience?
Oh, I would suggest there's a book we should all read to be more resilient, and that's called 6 Thinking Hats, and that's 6 ways to consider every life issue that happens: personal, school, work, neighborhood. 6 thinking hats. And then how do you implement the solutions you come up with 6 thinking hats? 6 action shoes. Edward de Bono. The man was brilliant. And don't think you have to buy books new. They are out there used at much less money, or get the PDF version. But I highly recommend, because you're all the right age to learn it, that there's more intense problem-solving courses. But I've seen 100 people and 300 people come together using his model, because whether you've got a grade 6 education or a PhD, it is an exceptional platform to resolving issues. And this world's got enough pain and anger that it's a good way to help bring divergent points of view together to resolve things. So that's my tip. So thank you for this gift of your time.
Okay, sir, I invite you to my school when you come in Pakistan. So please visit our school, Rehan School Kurungi campus.
I would love to. I would love to. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
संजीर अब तोड़ देंगे, तरक्की से रिश्ता जोड़ देंगे। जॉब के पट्टे से आजादी, गुलामी अब छोड़ दे।
साथ है हमारे बड़े दिल वाला, मुश्किलों से जिसने निकाला, गिरते हुओं को फिर से संभाला, वो है रेहान अल्लाह वाला।
किया हर मैदान फतह, किया हर मैदान फतह, किया उसने सबको जमा, किया उसने सबको जमा, वो है रेहान अल्लाह वाला, वो है रेहान अल्लाह वाला।
गूगल से वेरीफाई करेंगे, यूट्यूब से सब कुछ सीखेंगे, फेसबुक से फैलाएंगे और ट्विटर से सबको बताएंगे। कर रूठ गई है तकदीरें और टूट गई है शमशीरें, मोबाइल है अब अपना निशान, अब काम करेंगी तदबीरें।
हमारे सारे के सारे लोग पढ़ना लिखना, अपने इल्म को हासिल करना, और जो कोई भी आमदनी कमाते हैं उसको ज्यादा कमाना शुरू कर दें। ज्यादा कब कमाएंगे? ज्यादा वो जब कमाएंगे जब उनके पास वो एक खिलौना होगा जिसको हम मोबाइल फोन कहते हैं, और उस खिलौने के ऊपर जाकर वो लिखेंगे कि मैं ये काम करता हूं, मैं इसको बेहतर कैसे कर सकता हूं। वो लिखेंगे कि मैं ये सीखना चाहता हूं, मैं बेहतर कैसे कर सकता हूं। वो लिखेंगे कि मैं इल्म हासिल करना चाहता हूं अपनी फील्ड का, मैं कैसे कर सकता हूं। उसके लिए हमें हर पाकिस्तानी के हाथ में एक अदद ये खिलौना पहुंचाना है। आज पाकिस्तान के 150 मिलियन लोगों के पास ये खिलौना नहीं पहुंचा है। मैं आपसे मदद चाहता हूं कि आप मदद करें और ये खिलौना सबके हाथ में पहुंचाए।
हमारे बड़े दिल वाला, मुश्किलों से जिसने निकाला, गिरते हुओं को फिर से संभाला, वो है रेहान अल्लाह वाला।
हर मैदान फतह।
Okay, viewers, thank you so much for watching my interview. I think you learned a lot from this interview, and thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.